ready, set, hut, hut.
As the hills of West Virginia resound with the sound of Golden Blue football.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Now let's bring on the Mountaineers. Goes around about the 50 to 10 to 5. A touchdown, West Virginia. He did it.
He did it. Patrick White. Touchdown, Tay Von Austin.
The Don Nehlen's Mountaineers enjoy walking in where angels feared to tread.
I think you think that these guys are going to fall over dead for you. Well, I got news for you. They're going to punch you right in the mouth. It's Mountaineer pride!
Nothing cheap, nothing dirty, but West Virginia football. West Virginia football.
We've no doubt tonight they shouldn't have played the old Golden Blue. Not this night!
They've done it. They've done it. A perfect season. And the Mountaineers, for the first time in history, undefeated and untied.
Don Nehlen and his Mountaineers, for the second time, have finished a regular season with an unblemished mark.
Ain't no stopping the Golden Blue.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome into another live stream here on the Country Roads webcast. January 2nd edition, our first of 2025, I believe. Funny enough, Happy New Year, everybody. Took a day off yesterday. Wasn't too much news going on, but a couple of things which we'll throw into today's stream. But the main portion, of course, is the January 2nd transfer portal update as we have news on, West Virginia native Hudson Clement. And then we have a lot of news on more transfer portal targets that are going to be visiting. The visitor list grows, guys. This visitor list is extremely long that I've been sharing with you guys. And I've added a few more names to it that I found out about today. And we'll talk about that as well as far as the transfer portal update side of this is concerned. Then we have coaching staff news to talk about. Of course, we finally have one of the long reported staff hires officially announced today. Another one of those in the books. And I suspect more will probably be coming tomorrow, but we also have some others that have already, kind of made their announcements on social media and have changed their Twitters, their X page, whatever you want to call it. I've shared some on the previous stream, and there's been even some more that we can share now, some details of. So it's going to be, transfer portal update / coaching staff update live stream here. That's what I'll have for you guys. But if you guys got any questions, comments, be sure to throw them in the chat there. I'll try and touch up with you guys throughout the stream before we wrap up. Won't try and keep you guys too long, but got some things to discuss here. And I think, of course, the very first one to talk about is Hudson Clement, right? Today it comes out he's committed to Illinois, and then you get a lot of, news and reports going out about it being, a big money thing or whatever. And so I'm not really going to dive into all that, just say, wish him the best, next man up at the receiver position. Do I think it sucks that a state native, leaves and goes another direction? I do personally, but I, feel a certain type of way and have a certain type of passion for WVU football, and that's just me. I know everyone doesn't feel that way, and I guess he felt like that's what was best for him, so he moves and is going to go to Illinois next year and be playing in the Big Ten. Not only does he leave, but then it also came out, not shortly after that. I guess maybe one thing that sweetened the deal for him even was the fact that Illinois not only taking him, but also taking his brother. As Blue Gold Sports shared this here, Murphy Clement follows brother, signs with Illinois. Freshman running back Murphy Clement followed his brother's footsteps, Hudson Clement, after signing to play at Illinois. Clement was a walk-on at WVU. I'm guessing that maybe Illinois gave him a scholarship, and that helped sweeten the pot for Hudson. That's my guess there. I've heard that he probably will play defensive back at Illinois. That's what I've been hearing. We'll see what happens. But both the Clement brothers leave WVU, heading to Illinois. One part of the transfer portal news, and then we'll get to some of the more positive aspects of transfer portal news that are good for us in Mountaineer Nation, that really care about the Mountaineers a lot, and that is some targets that we're going to be having visit. We'll talk more about that momentarily. I'm going to take a swig of my water, guys. There we go. That's much better. All right. So that's the bad part of the news is Hudson Clement deciding to go to Illinois. We knew the door was maybe still open for him to return to West Virginia if he wanted to. We knew there were reports that the meeting between, him and Coach Rich Rod didn't go well, that he was wanting more money than West Virginia was willing to offer him. And apparently Illinois was able, to give him a little bit more money, more in line with what he was hoping to get. So that's kind of the situation there. Leaves and moves on from WVU, but West Virginia, after plenty of transfer portal targets, they've even already brought in 2 other guys from Martinsburg, including another Martinsburg receiver in Gerard Bowie, after plenty of recruits in the portal. And let's talk about some of those now. Another offer that went out to a good transfer today from a Jacksonville State, player. So got to think we have a decent chance here, but 10-plus offers since entering the portal for Caden Arnold. But we know West Virginia really needs offensive linemen because there's another update there, and I think this is a good time to mention that as well. So let me go ahead and pull this up really quickly, pull up the transfer portal tracker. I'm going to pull it up again momentarily when we get to talk about the visits, and I want to show you guys the visit list. But before we do that, let me pull this up here and talk about the transfer out list because it was finally confirmed today by 247 Sports, I believe is where I saw this, that Lucas Austin did indeed sneak into the portal kind of during that little holiday break there. Wasn't listed in the portal, but then, popped up in there now. So it was one of those situations where probably the paperwork took a little bit to get in. That can happen. They can submit the paperwork and it can take 48 to 72 hours for them to pop up in there. And if they don't announce anything, you really don't know. They just kind of sneak in there. And that's kind of what happened with Lucas Austin, which, as we've talked about with both the past 2 portal entries, does hurt a little bit, even though, he was a young guy. But West Virginia just so thin on scholarship offensive linemen right now. This takes West Virginia down to 4 scholarship offensive linemen returning, and then you have Walter Youngbear committed to come in. So I think, going after that offensive lineman from Jacksonville State, Caden Arnold, is a good move, and West Virginia is probably going to target plenty of offensive linemen in the transfer portal. And then, of course, the other bit of news is, of course, Hudson Clement there with his destination. He's the one destination that we know of, and I believe it was a friend of mine that pointed out to me, or maybe it's someone in the chat and one of the other streams, that Abina Onwuka, on the updated West Virginia roster on their website, he's actually on there, surprisingly, which he had previously entered the portal. So maybe he's changed his mind, or maybe it's just something they missed and they'll have to go back and fix. We'll see what happens moving forward with that, but keep an eye on that. But this is kind of the transfers out and where their destinations are. And then, of course, we still have the same transfers in list, but I suspect that to change really soon when we get to some of these visitors that are even coming in as soon as today. We had guys on visits today. I told you guys once the dead period ended, which ended today, West Virginia was going to start having a ton of visitors in, and we're going to show you how many that there are here. We're talking double digits amounts of visitors that are coming in across this week and next week into, about the 10th, 11th, 12th of January. And you're going to see a lot of names here when we get to that list momentarily. But let me show you some of the ones that I haven't talked about previously. And then I will show you guys the visits, the full visit list. Let's see here if I can find the correct tab that I was looking for here. There it is. So Sam Houston, defensive line transfer, which we reported on a previous stream that West Virginia offered him a scholarship, and he would be a massive get. He's one of the highest rated defensive linemen in the transfer portal. He's going to be visiting WVU January 5th and 6th, reported there by Skylar Callahan. And then also one that I haven't had a chance to share with you guys either, I think. This one is reported on social media by Hot Rod, but visiting West Virginia. And I think, funny enough, the timing of this one, hey, we could trade out one former West Virginia in-state receiver for another. Cyrus Trow, I believe is how you say it. FCS freshman All-American last year, 409 yards and 5 touchdowns, 2 TDs against the Eat Shit Pitt school there. And, of course, from Parkersburg South, as he said there. So got to think we have a good chance. So I had to throw him up on the thumbnail. He's going to be visiting WVU. That's another one that I hadn't had a chance to report on previously. I think that's the only couple that I had there that I hadn't shown you guys, but I want to show you guys the full list of visitors that are coming in. Like I said, as early as today and across the next couple of weeks or so. So let me pull back up the transfer portal tracker where I'm trying to keep a tally of these reported upcoming visitors as I'm seeing the reports come out on them. And this is where we're at, guys. So the newest ones starts there with Chris Murray down here. So we have 5 new ones. Previously I knew that we had offered scholarships to Murray and Walkley and Cyrus Trow, but didn't know about the visits until recently. So that's why I'm sharing them here. Dallas Holmes is a new one that I just didn't know about here, a tight end out of Lafayette. So let's count them up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 planned visitors, and I know of at least a couple more that just don't have their visit scheduled yet. William Whitlow Jr., the defensive lineman from Memphis, and David Pantelis, the wide receiver from Yale also. So you're talking, getting close to 20 visitors that you're going to try and bring in over the next couple of weeks, potentially for WVU. Now, there's always the chance that some of these guys may go on a visit somewhere else and commit before they have a chance to make it to Morgantown. And we also hope that if they have visits scheduled after WVU, that while they're in Morgantown, they go ahead and commit to us and don't take those other visits, right? So it can work both ways. But this is kind of how the transfer portal is, with how short the windows are and how many prospects are in the portal, and especially when you have to kind of overturn an entire roster like Rich Rod is having to do. You have to bring in a lot of guys in short amount of order. I know today that Jordan Walker from Chattanooga was visiting today. We had multiple visitors in today. I don't know the exact visits of all these guys' dates, but I do know that between now and like January 10th or 11th is like the latest ones I've seen, I think. All of these guys are going to be in Morgantown. So that's kind of where we're standing on that. 1 second, guys. Throat's getting dry again. All right. So that's the full visit list. The new additions here are Chris Murray, that we talked about a little bit there from Sam Houston, Cyrus Trow, the in-state receiver, Martavis French from UTSA, who would be a phenomenal get at linebacker, Crew Walkley, the defensive back from BYU, who we talked about on previous stream, and Dallas Holmes, the tight end from Lafayette. So let me pull up some stats of some of these new names that we hadn't had on the list previously here, that we have confirmed as coming in on visits, according to reports. And Dallas Holmes is one of those, the tight end from Lafayette. Look at the numbers, nothing that really blows you away, but 3 touchdowns and 12 receptions is pretty nice. I will say that. But if you look at the size, 6'5", 238 pounds. And if you go watch a little bit of Lafayette play, he is really great in the blocking game, which I think would be a big addition. We know we need that. No Cole Taylor, no Traylon Davis. We've brought in, Jacob Barrett from Jack State. We're probably going to need at least one more. So bringing in Dallas Holmes, I would like that move. I think that he's very physical. He looks like a hard edge blocker to me. So would like to get him in, and at least getting him on a visit is a good sign, I think. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Chris Murray, because he's very talented, guys. This defensive lineman is going to be near the top of the wish list, I think, as far as transfer portal players. And the fact that West Virginia is bringing him on a visit is good. He's got a lot of big-name schools after him. 5.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 6'4", 255-pound junior there out of Sam Houston. And then the same goes at the next level, like I said there, for Martavis French, who I think is very talented as well. And would be one of my top targets there at the linebacker position. Would be coming for his final year of eligibility. 6'2", 225, had a sack last year at UTSA, and I think he would be a good fit in the attacking scheme that we're going to be running under Zach Alley. So there's the numbers of some of the new potential additions, but let me pull it back up here so you guys can know some of these names to keep an eye on, because as of today, guys, we're officially on commitment watch. Like I said, Jordan Walker was one that I know of, was on campus for a visit today. Other of these may have already been on campus. I think CJ Doggett may have been as well from Ohio, which he's a legacy player. His father played for WVU back in the 90s, I believe. So there's a couple that have already been on campus, and we're going to have more of these over the next few days. So on commitment watch for any of these potential names that make it onto campus here of these upcoming visitors. So the next transfer portal update I do could be talking about a commitment from any of these names, guys. And we're talking about Ethan Head, the kickoff specialist from Tulane, Jordan Walker, the safety from Chattanooga, who I said was in on visit today, Marcus Watson Trent from Georgia Southern, the linebacker, Adam Tochek, the defensive lineman from Cerritos Community College there at the JUCO ranks. Matt Henry from Western Illinois, a wide receiver, and I think that he may be the most underrated prospect. It's either him or the next name, linebacker James Joncom, but Matt Henry, All-American there, great season, 1,000 yards receiving, 60 or 70 catches, I believe. So I would love to get him and pick him up as well. And then you get James Joncom, who it was the other one I said maybe super underrated, coming from Eastern Michigan, but he's highly sought after in the portal. But the fact that we're getting him in on Morgantown for a visit is a good sign for us, I think. Then we have CJ Doggett, who I mentioned, who I think is in. If he's not in today, he's in the next few days. Draylon Washington, the running back from Louisiana, we talked about previously. Cam Thompson, the kick return specialist and wide receiver from NIU, one of the fastest players in the transfer portal, which would be exciting to pick up. And then Troy Stellato from Clemson is a guy that if he could stay healthy, he's a wide receiver 1 type guy, put up really good numbers. And I have a really close friend of mine that's actually a big-time Clemson fan. Went and watched them play, the national championship when they won it back with Deshaun Watson. Or was it the one before that? I can't remember. But nonetheless, he's a huge Clemson fan, and he told me Troy Stellato is an excellent route runner. He just was injury-prone there at Clemson, but he was kind of their wide receiver 1 at one point before he started, dealing with injuries, and that's why his numbers, if you go look at his stats, look like they took a dip this season, but he was out for most of this year. But he had over, 600 yards and over 60 receptions during his time at Clemson. And I think that he would be an excellent pickup for West Virginia at the wide receiver position, and we know we need guys there. And then, of course, the 5 names that we just talked about: Chris Murray from Sam Houston, Cyrus Stroud from Youngstown State, Martavius French from UTSA, Crew Walkley from BYU, and Dallas Holmes, the tight end from Lafayette. And then not to mention the other guys that have already been in on visits that remain uncommitted and are taking visits elsewhere. I think that we still are in good standing and have a good chance at Fred Davis, the cornerback from Jacksonville State. And then, of course, you guys know maybe the top of my wish list right now, Cam Vaughn, the wide receiver from Jacksonville State as well. And offers still going out, as you saw there, as we reported a minute ago, offered the offensive lineman from Jacksonville State as well there. So those are the upcoming visitors, guys. That's one of the big pieces of the transfer portal update that I wanted to deliver here on this January 2nd edition of the transfer portal update. And, of course, the other big one being Hudson Clement's news of leaving the Mountaineers. So that's kind of what I had as far as transfer portal news, but a couple pieces of roster news that are really big. One happened yesterday, and if there had been any other news that came out alongside this, I probably would have went live yesterday, but I didn't feel like I could have stretched out a whole stream and just talked about one thing really. But of course, the big news that came out yesterday is something that we were all kind of hoping to hear, and that is the return of Nico Marchiol. As he announced on social media, #HardEdge, like that he put up the picture of him and Rich Rod together there from the Frisco Bowl. And you see his statement here. Morgantown has felt like home from the moment I first stepped on campus. The unwavering support of the fans, the warmth of the community, and the brotherhood I share with my teammates have made this place truly special. I'm honored to be back for 2025, ready to finish what I came here to do, win games and help restore the pride and glory that this incredible community deserves. Thank you, WVU, for believing in me, supporting me, and making this journey unforgettable. Let's make 2025 a year we'll all cherish for a lifetime. Let's go to work. Greatness is waiting. And then, of course, the little signature there at the bottom. So got QB1 back for 2025, and I'm excited to see what he can do in a Rich Rod offense. Do still think we'll bring in some other QBs for depth purposes, but I'd be surprised if that's not QB1 moving forward, guys. And then also, this one was from today. Jacoby Spells pretty much returning that he's returning to, pretty much confirming that he's returning to WVU, as he puts out on X. Last ride, let's make it the best one. I posted a picture there as well. So a defensive back confirming his return. And if you guys didn't catch it on the last stream, other positive news of KK Tarnu using the extra year of eligibility that he is granted with the JUCO ruling in the court system to return to WVU next year, which I think is big because he was in Zach Alley's defense in 2023. So he'll be someone that has not only experience in the back end which we need, and we need as many starters coming back as we can get because we have less than 3 on each side of the ball right now. But him having experience in the Zach Alley defense and with Coach Rod is big because he maybe help coach up some of the other guys as well a little bit. They would kind of be that guy on the field that really knows what to do in a lot of different scenarios because he's been in the scheme before. So I think that's a pretty big move, is having KK Tarnew back for one more season. And then the other thing I got, guys, is coaching news. I want to give up these coaching staff updates really quickly. Let me take a swig of my water really quick, and then I will catch up with and chat with you guys before we wrap up. But let me take a swig of this water and get to the coaching staff update first, and then I'll get to some of your all's comments. And I appreciate you guys being in here, whether you're watching live or on a playback. If you do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. That helps a ton with the algorithm, helps us find more Mountaineer fans like yourself. And if you are a big Mountaineer football fan, be sure you're subscribed here to the channel. We covering this coaching staff as the news continues to come out on it, and all this transfer portal news, which I said it's going to be coming hot and heavy over the next couple of weeks with all these visitors coming in. Appreciate you guys. All right. So, coaching staff update. Let's start with the official edition because we now have another one that's now official. So, we have multiple now. We have, of course, Coach Rod himself, Zach Alley, Blaine Stewart, Chad Scott were official. And then today, long rumored Ryan Garrett as receivers coach, now official. So, Blaine Stewart inside receivers, Ryan Garrett wide receivers coach, as he is officially announced today, as you see around 3:30 today by Mike Montoro in the official release here on the WVU site. Rodriguez announces Garrett as wide receivers coach. West Virginia University football coach Rich Rodriguez has announced that Ryan Garrett has been hired as the wide receivers coach. And we get the statement here from Rich Rod. I'm excited that Ryan will be joining the Mountaineer football program as the wide receivers coach. I've had the opportunity to work with him for several years and have seen his growth as a coach on and off the field. He brings a lot of energy and knowledge to the position. Having worked closely with our receivers over the last 3 years, he's a great addition to our on-field coaching staff. So the last sentence there, just letting you know for sure, this is one of the 10, on-field assistants here, our main receivers coaches. Ryan Garrett, who joins Rich Rod for the third time, joined him first back in 2021 and when he was the offensive coordinator at UL Monroe. Then he brought him with him to Jack State. Now is bringing him with him to WVU. Ryan Garrett, of course, helped tutelize. That's not a word. Helped tutor the top receiver Cam Vaughn, who finished with 49 catches, 804 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He was top 3 in the CUSA in yards per reception, number 6 in receiving yards, and number 8 in touchdown receptions, number 9 in catches. So top 10 in pretty much everything across the board in CUSA as a freshman. Was Cam Vaughn, and I believe he was a high school quarterback that they converted, redshirted him a year, and then turned him into one of the top receivers in that conference. Now he's in the portal, and he's visited WVU already, so who knows on that, but we will have at least his receivers coach, Ryan Garrett, now on board, as we see here in the official press release from WVU. Garrett spent the 2020 season as the pass game coordinator and wide receivers coach at West Virginia State under Coach John Pennington, a former receiver for Rich Rod at WVU. He started his coaching career at Ole Miss as a student assistant and eventually a graduate assistant there when he worked with the quarterbacks under Rich Rod when Rich Rod was the offensive coordinator at Ole Miss in 2019. He's a graduate of North Henderson High School in North Carolina, played at Emory and Henry and then Virginia before transferring to Ole Miss and then entering the coaching profession. And now he is our wide receivers coach here at WVU. You see the graphic there in the official press release. So those are the ones that are now official. So now we're waiting on the other reported ones, which we know to be Michael Nicewander, probably going to be tight ends coach. Jack Bicknell is offensive line coach. Still waiting on those to be official on the offensive side. Still waiting to see who's going to get the offensive coordinator title on the offensive side, if they're going to bring somebody else in. Maybe keep eyes on Travis Trickett for that still yet. That's the one name I've still been hearing floating around. We'll see what happens on that. That's not been reported yet. That's just rumored. The others have been reported, and we're just waiting on the officials for those. On the defensive side, we have reported William Green, so we're waiting on that one to become official. And then we do not know who is going to be, coaching in the secondary, cornerbacks, safeties, all of that. We know Zach Alley is assistant head coach / defensive coordinator and linebackers. And then we know a lot of the support staff members. On the previous stream, I shared with you guys a lot of those that were sharing their goodbyes to, Jack State and then changing their X pages and stuff over to the WVU side of things. And we have more of those. And then we got some other updates on coaches that you know of. Let's start with one of those. Jeff Castile has updated his social media. His is that Coach J. Castile, but his says assistant coach outside linebackers at WVU football. So sounds like the reports of him coaching the outside linebackers may indeed be true. And then some others that have now come out and said their goodbyes and are coming to coach at WVU. Let's go here to Will Bernhardt, who, as you see on his bio, now says at WVU football strength and conditioning. So he's probably going to be an assistant strength coach. It's already been reported previously that Mike Joseph is staying. Looks like you're bringing him in, and Parker Whiteman is reported to come in as well, another WV native returning, and will be on that staff. So they should have a really strong strength staff. You see him making his post to Jack State today, and of course saying he's excited for the next chapter at WVU for the confirmation there. And then also we get another guy that, of course, has West Virginia ties, a familiar name probably to some, and that's Pat Kirkland. We were wondering if he would come, and it looks like he will, as his bio has now switched to assistant coach, West Virginia University. They're at Coach P. Kirkland on X. And if, he hasn't put out any goodbye message or anything like some of the others, but he has changed his profile and has West Virginia in the background and says assistant coach there as well. And then we have another member of the support staff that's coming over from Jack State here in Patrick McCain, who is going to be apparently assistant director of football ops. And he put out his message there saying goodbye to Jack State and announcing his next chapter at WVU as well. And then one that I found super interesting because I'm guessing here on this one that this one probably won't be one of those, main 10 on-field coaches or, well, I guess they can still be on-field coaches now. You can have as many on the field as you want, but your main 10 that'll be like your, recruiters and stuff. But he does appear like he's going to have a position on the staff and going to be helping in that secondary. So this is kind of big because we really haven't heard any news on any coaches in the secondary, whether it be cornerbacks or safeties coach. But we have here Coach Henry Weinreich coming over, and he has in his bio specifically nickel / Sam coach for at WVU football, which of course nickel would be your slot corner, which I'm interested to see if that means, and you see where he has reposted some West Virginia centric stuff here on his page, and of course making the change in his bio there. But I'm interested to see if that means he will work with, kind of the nickel / outside linebackers, because, that's kind of what the Sam traditionally is kind of your strong side linebacker. But also we know in the Zach Alley defense, there is the cheetah position, which is somewhat similar to the spear that West Virginia previously used under the previous regime, with some different techniques, obviously, in the way that it's used. But you can have like a linebacker body in that position, or you can have more of a cornerback body in that position. At Jack State and at Oklahoma, Zach Alley used, a little bit of both depending on kind of personnel packages. He would have some guys that are more, linebacker-centric bodies playing that cheetah position, and some guys that are more, slot corner style guys coming in there on passing down. So I'm wondering if Coach Henry Weinreich is going to coach that cheetah position, or what exactly he's going to do there, what the nickel / Sam coach is. We'll see if that if they come out with official announcement what that's going to be. But there's another coach you can follow on social media that is there at WVU now. Shout out to Coach Henry Weinreich joining the staff here at WVU. So there's some more reported additions, although those not finalized and official yet. But we do have the one official one that is Ryan Garrett. So there's what I had, guys. Transfer portal update and coaching staff update. Let me get to some comments here after I take a swig of my water one more time, guys. Trey Edwards says Skylar Callahan just said that we're going to part ways with most of the recruiters who helped keep most of the recruits from this class. Yeah, I think that pretty much for the most part they're all gone. A lot of those guys that I've shared, in last night's stream and in this one are kind of a part of the new recruiting staff. I'm in contact with one of them, Tyar Lessick, that came over from Jack State, that's joined the staff as a recruiting assistant. So unfortunately we are losing a lot of those guys. But I think a lot of these guys that we're bringing in are going to do really good. And it sounds like there's not going to be too much fallback from that. I've only heard of really one reported possibility that we may lose that may look to get out of his letter of intent that he signed. So I still think those 20 plus players that we had, signed should all appear to come in except for maybe one. And that's one of the running backs we signed in that class, unfortunately, is the one that I've heard about. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, going to be pretty much a new recruiting staff as well, in addition to, the new main staff, and of course a lot of new support staff, which we've shared a lot about in the past couple of streams here. Hopefully you guys have caught that. If not, go back and catch it and see all those names. Gary Rochford says, let's go Mountaineers. Got my guy Tim Green in here, channel member. If you guys want to be like Tim there in the chat, have the nice WVU football helmet beside your name. You can support us monthly here by becoming a channel member, and you get bonus WVU football content for doing so. We always appreciate that support. Help keep this mic recorded and help keep that camera rolling. Catalyst that keeps it all going here on the channel, and we appreciate that. But hey, if you can't, that's okay too. Fast, easy, and free way you can support us is just hitting the thumbs up button on the video and being sure you're subscribed to the channel. But Tim says, let's go Mountaineers. I think Arizona State. Terrible non-targeting call. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I missed that one live. Here's my situation with that game. Once Texas went up, was it 24-8, I think, right? I was like, well, this one's probably over. And I went off for a second and did something I had to do. I think I made a video on my other channel, the JC's Movies channel. And when I came back in the living room, then all of a sudden Arizona State had tied it. So I got to watch kind of the end of regulation overtime. So I missed it. By the time I was in there watching again, Texas had the ball back. But I've definitely heard a lot of complaints about it. Definitely sounds like it was a bad miss there by the officials. Hey, I got a super sticker in here from Jeff. Really appreciate that $9.99 super sticker, Jeff. That means a lot, man. I appreciate that support a ton. Thank you so much for that, man. I don't see a comment attached, but if I see your name pop up, I'll try and pull your comment up for sure since you sent the super sticker, Jeff. Appreciate that a lot, man. I appreciate everybody being in here live, tuning in and chiming in, but appreciate you guys watching on the replay as well. If you didn't get a chance to throw your thoughts here in the chat, be sure and leave them in the comments. Always appreciate those interactions as well. Mountaineer Athlete says, I don't mind Hudson leaving. With the amount of money he was asking for, we can bring in several really key pieces. Hudson is a former walk-on who's performed way above his expected level. He's not an NFL guy, which I think that is a good chance and a good thing that I've seen people point out. Because my initial reaction, I was, a little upset and perturbed by it. But like I said, I think it's just because of my passion for WVU football and how much I care about it personally that I could never really make sense of it in my head, how someone will want to leave WVU no matter what amount of money they're offered. Because for me, it's like I'd go there and be a part of the football program. I'd do anything to do that. I would pay them to let me be a part of the football program, and you could offer me $100 million and I still wouldn't leave. But that's just me. So I guess when you feel that way, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around it. But I think what you say here, Mountaineer Athletes, is one thing that really kind of did make it, stick home for me a little bit, is that he may never get a chance to get this big contract if he doesn't go to the pros, and a lot of people think that he may not go to the pros. So, if you can get a big payday in college, I guess, in today's day and age, you got to take it. So, that's one way of looking at it. I think for me, it was just kind of hard for me to wrap my mind around that because that's just not the way that I think about things personally, and money's never going to be a big priority for me. But, we try and put yourself in somebody else's shoes. It makes you think about it a little bit different. I'm trying not to be too harsh on the guy. Hopefully it works out for him. I know sometimes we've seen these transfer portal moves not work out in the past, but, we'll see what happens. Either way, his brother's going there too, gets to take his brother with him. I think that I've seen some people talk about, and I didn't even know this until now, that he's actually originally from Michigan. So that's actually kind of closer to where he was born then, maybe. And also maybe we all thought that he had stronger ties to WV West Virginia than, he did really then. Just because, he played high school football in West Virginia doesn't mean that, he loves it the same way we did. He probably didn't grow up a WVU fan even. So that's one thing that I've tried to try and take a step back and try and think of it from that perspective. But it's just really hard when you're a diehard WVU football fan to think of it from that perspective, because to me, it's just always going to be loyalty over dollars, especially when it's the program that gave you an opportunity when no one else did. And then kind of, you built yourself up and made something out of yourself here to where fans liked you and you had an opportunity to be, an all-time great maybe at the school even, and at least remembered in that type of light. Like you think about the Owen Schmitz and the Rich Brahams and all the walk-ons that have came through and they stayed all 4 years, and then they were legends. People love them, and they never have to pay for a drink in the state probably if they don't want to, or a meal even maybe. And you just thought that he would maybe be enjoying that list. And so when you see a guy that kind of doesn't, it just, I guess, it rubs you the wrong way a little bit. But yeah, it's a good practice to try and put yourself in his shoes and think about it from another perspective. And that's allowed me to try and not be so harsh on the guy. Although I will admit at first it did rub me the wrong way because it's just not what I would have done personally. But hey, it's not always, us making the decision. I'm not in his mind. I don't know what all went into the decision. But like I said, wish him the best. That's all we can do, right? Wish him the best. And as for us here at WVU, next man up, man. We got plenty of good receivers that still remain on the roster, even in-state ones. Dom Collins, man, I can't wait to see that kid play. He's super special, and I think if he gets a chance, he'll blow up just like Huddy did and maybe even bigger. But we'll see what happens, and I think that we're going to get some good transfers in as well in our own right, and it's next man up mentality for our roster. But, he's getting his money, and he's going to Illinois, and hey, good for the young man. I appreciate it. Benny the Butcher becoming a channel member here. Appreciate that a lot, Benny the Butcher. You now got access to a ton of great members-only content on the channel there. You can go through the backlog and see game rewatches from past seasons, film reviews from this past year, game rewatches from 2023, all the way through player grades videos from every game this season, snap counts from every game this season, injury reports, all that good stuff. And of course, you'll get all of that in season next year. And then throughout this off season, we're going to do some fun stuff where we go back and watch Jacksonville State film to see the Rich Rod offense, and then watch a little Oklahoma film from this year and Jack State 2023 film of the defense to watch a little Zach Alley's kind of the plan throughout the off season. And we are planning to do a members only stream probably at some point this weekend. I'm thinking Sunday. I'll let you guys know for sure soon, but going to do our first almost heaven level members only stream this weekend, most likely. But appreciate you a lot becoming a channel member there, Benny the Butcher. Let's see where else, where was that here in chat. I'm trying to catch up with you guys here before we wrap up. Let's see. Channel member Kenny Evans says, I think Huddy and CJ really screwed up. I don't see them being as productive and having as much playing time. And, I think maybe that's the trade-off, though, which that'll be funny. I don't know if Illinois plays Ohio State next season or not, but they may see each other again with them both going to the Big Ten, funny enough. But I think that's the trade-off with these guys. We've seen, a couple of guys go to the SEC, a couple of guys go to the Big Ten. And I think that that's kind of the exchange is you maybe exchange where at WVU you could be the number one or number two guy. You could get a lot of snaps. You could get a lot of touches, targets to go to the Big Ten where maybe you're a little bit lower on the depth chart. Maybe you don't get as many targets, but maybe they give you an extra $100,000 or $200,000. So I think that that's the exchange. And I think that that's just depends on what do you value more? What's your situation? A lot of different things that go into it. For me, I would rather have the playing time and, of course, rather be at WVU no matter what. That's just me. But I think that that's kind of the thought process that just looking at it from the outside looking in anyways. Hey, got a 1999 super chat from Jeff. There he is, dropping the question. Appreciate that, Jeff. Is Johnson still coming in? Are we talking about Jeremiah Johnson, I'm guessing, Jeff, for the defense? It's not been confirmed yet. I know it was previously reported that they were targeting him. A lot of people wondering if it was for DC or if it was for another role, but it has not been ruled out that he's not coming still yet. I think that there are still rumblings that he may join the staff, and that would be a big addition for WVU. You could get Jeremiah Johnson in to coach the safeties. He could potentially bring Keelan Brookins with him to coach the cornerbacks. We'll see what happens, but that would be a huge pickup for WVU, and I'm still hoping to see it, Jeff, and I really appreciate you sending the super chat and asking the question because it's something that I'm hoping to see is Jeremiah Johnson come in from Louisiana Tech and join the defensive staff. We'll see what happens with it, though. We'll see what happens. Let's see here. Where was I here in the chat? Keep losing my spot here. There we are. There's where it's left off on Kenny's comment there. George Edwards said, I don't think he was a native WV. He moved from like Michigan or somewhere. Yeah, that's what I'd heard was, and I hadn't realized that until, this happened, is that he originally is from Michigan and his family moved here just before high school or when he first started high school or something is when they moved to Martinsburg. So that's crazy. Eric Flower says, can you imagine living at home with your parents while going to school and making $400K? If you did some smart investments, you could retire at 40, 45, or 50 if you walked away from football and work. I know, man. It's completely different day and age. I mean, if I was only, I guess we were all a little bit ahead of our time. And it's a great day to play, but also it's crazy time to be a fan where it's like loyalty's out the window. I don't know. It's good. The guys deserve it, but also it's like if the NCAA would have done something a long time ago, we probably wouldn't be in this position that we're in now. And it's hard to imagine having that much money at such a young age that a lot of these guys are getting. It may have been great, may have not been a good thing. I don't know if I'd have been responsible enough. And hopefully there's people around these guys that are helping them with stuff like that, because at that age, yeah, I definitely probably would have been reckless with it. So hopefully a lot of these guys are more responsible with it and have maybe agents or money managers, those type of things around them for sure. But I know it's wild, man. It's wild to think about. It really is. Sal says, Nico, that's my quarterback. Hey, that's right. That's right. So happy that he's announcing his retirement. We knew Nico was hard edge. We saw him, up in his seat during that team meeting, full and attentive. Rich Rod's first team meeting. Saw him chatting it up on the sidelines. I think Rich Rod likes Nico a lot, and I'm excited he's coming back for sure. Let's see. Kenny Evans, no signings yet. We are targeting Carter Lewis, the linebacker from Oklahoma, thus far. Nothing as far as an offer yet, or that I've seen, and no scheduled of a visit. Also, I've heard it rumored, though, that he does want to get home closer to Florida, so not sure what our chances are. But he did enter the portal after Zach Alley left, so you got to think that we have some type of chance there potentially to get after it. Yeah, Ron Flower said Henry has nearly 1,200 yards. Yeah, Matthew Henry's extremely underrated prospect, guys. Go watch his tape. I think that his game is going to transition to this, next level up. He's going to be one of those guys that comes from the FCS to this level and can ball out at receiver. I truly believe in Matthew Henry's game. And I think West Virginia is targeting multiple guys that can come up from, make that jump from FCS to FBS and have success, which, is something that's been pretty common here in recent years since the transfer portal NIL era. Exactly, Trey, with a great point here. Rod looks for the diamonds in the rough. He ain't going to go after big names very often. And, we see some in there, Troy Stellato from Clemson, some other Power 5 guys and stuff that we're targeting. But I think with Rich Rod, we got to keep in mind what he's always done, man. Look, you go back when he was at WVU, Pat White and Steve Slayton were, 2- and 3-star recruit guys. Same goes can be said for Denard Robinson at Michigan, Khalil Tate at Arizona. You look at what he did at Jack State this past year with Tyler Huff. And then he had Zion Webb before then. But the running back at Jack State this year, I think, is what really will drive it home for you. Rich Rod's had to do this for one. So that's why we should trust in him, because he's being at that level. A lot of the bigger name schools pick off the talented group of 5 and, of course, FCS players when they were FCS's first year there. And so, he had to add 60 new players to Jack State's roster last year, and they went and won the conference championship. But one of those players he added was a running back from Limestone University. Yes, Limestone University. You've never heard of it. I hadn't either until I heard about Trey Stewart, the running back at Jack State, who ran for, what did he do? Oh, nothing. Just ran for over 1,600 yards. Number 3 in the entire nation in all of college football, Division I in rushing yards, and over 20 touchdowns running the football. So, super talented player. Rich Rod can find those diamonds in the rough, 100%, guys. Hey, WV1, another channel member here. Appreciate that, WV1. Hope you enjoy all that bonus content I mentioned earlier, and going to have plenty more of it coming in the near future. And I cannot appreciate that support enough, man. It means a lot here on the channel. You guys that become channel members here helps keep it all going, man. Helps keep it all going. Earth Ether says, I think Nico may do great things. I do too. I think if you go watch Jack State film last year, the quarterback there is kind of similar to Nico in a lot of ways. And I think Nico's maybe a little bit better passer than he is. That QB may be a little bit faster than Nico. But if you hear Rich Rod talk about Tyler Huff, that quarterback he had at Jack State last year, he said he wasn't very fast. Rich Rod, I think, called him a 4.8 guy, but he said, he's a willing runner, which is what Rich Rod looks for. And he still can have success in Rich Rod's scheme, even if you're not super fast, which we know Nico can run the football despite not having great speed. And that quarterback, Tyler Huff, ran for over 1,000 yards. So Nico could do really good things in the Rich Rod offense. I truly do believe it. As Charlie says, Nico might be the guy. And Leslie Roberts says, so glad Nico is staying as well. Trey Edwards even thinks Nico should have started all along and GG at slot receiver. Interesting. We do see GG moving to receiver, now going to the NFL. I know a lot of people have been big fans of Nico. Nico was more highly rated coming out, and he is a bit better in the passing game. So I can see why you may make that argument. Earth Ether said Nico has done nothing but win, and with proper coaching, he could be awesome. 100%. Let's not forget, winner in high school and then undefeated as a starter thus far here at WVU. Eric Flower says very confident Nico should have finished out the season after he won 2 games. A lot of people agree with that. He never should have been benched after he came in and won this year. And he does have a great stiff arm. We saw that against Oklahoma State, excuse me, for sure. Hey, Earth Ether said the show is great. I'm very happy. I've always liked it. I appreciate that a lot, Earth Ether. Yeah, man, we've grown a lot in the past month. I can't thank you guys enough. I think the last time I looked, we were close to 700 new subscribers in the past month. That's awesome that you guys are, finding the channel now and hopping on board here. And, with that, I'll continue to give you guys the content that you deserve here as, being subscribers to the channel. You guys are helping the channel grow, and I'll continue to provide the updates on the transfer portal happenings, whether it be offers and visits or whether it be commits or guys going out from us. All that I'll continue to cover. And of course, all this coaching staff news as well. And then here in the near future, guys are going to start to enroll. I think it's the 13th or 14th is when people have to enroll to be able to get in there for that, or can start to enroll to be able to get in there for that spring semester here for spring football. So once players are officially added to the roster, whether it's the high school signings that were enrolling early or the transfers, I'll be doing roster updates periodically as well. So I'll keep all that coming for you guys. The channel has grown a ton lately. I really appreciate you guys for that. It's been awesome. Charlie says it won't take Rich Rod that long to figure out if Nico is the guy. Yeah, that's one thing I've been thinking. I know we've targeted a couple quarterbacks here in this cycle, but I would not be surprised if even in the spring we maybe go after another quarterback after he sees kind of what he has with Nico and the young guys. We'll see what happens. Let's see here. Trying to see. Linda Skidmore says the offensive line is going to have to grow up in a hurry. Indeed. A lot of young guys may be getting some playing time on the offensive line, but I have faith in some of those guys, and I'm still thinking that we are going to bring in some transfers, some more experienced guys, whether that's to compete with them, to be reserves behind them. We'll see what happens. Because right now, with the players that are already on the roster scholarship-wise, and we know we have Walter Youngbear coming in, but excluding Walter Youngbear, West Virginia can't even field a scholarship offensive line right now. They would have to have 4 scholarship players and a walk-on because we only have 4 scholarship offensive linemen remaining after the loss of Luke Austin. But we do have Youngbear coming in. I do have high hopes, a lot of high hopes for Xavier Bosley, who's played in the Rich Rod scheme already, so should give him an advantage there at right tackle where he could potentially be the actual blindside tackle with Nico being left-handed. I like Nick Gray. I like Cooper Young. Like Landon Livingston, and of course Walter Youngbear I'm a fan of. So I think we do have some guys. We just definitely need some depth there for sure. Let's see what else we got here. Don Johnson, Hudson, and his brother from my hometown of Martinsburg. So I'm disappointed, but if they don't want to be here, then best of luck. I fear they're making a mistake, but best of luck. Yeah, that's a great way to put it, Don. It's a great way to put it. And definitely, I'm sure if you're from Martinsburg, it might bite a little bit extra, maybe. But I'm sure you're also still, supporting the young men as well. James Weekly says he thinks they do play each other next year, Ohio State and Illinois. So there you go. CJ and Huddy may see each other next year in the Big Ten. Let's see. Hey, what's going on? WVU Mountain there with Kenny, channel member here. Appreciate you hopping in. Tim Green says, very excited to see what this basketball team is going to turn out. I believe they're going to do pretty good. Hey, man, I'm super excited after that shocking win over Kansas. And that's a good segue there, Tim, for me to remind you guys. Tomorrow night, probably back live around this time, maybe a little bit earlier. We'll see what happens. But we'll talk about any news that comes out tomorrow via the transfer portal. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, maybe we get some commits and then also maybe some more coaching staff news we'll talk about. But we'll definitely have to preview Saturday's basketball game tomorrow night. So there will be another stream coming tomorrow, Lord willing. That's the plan. But definitely excited to talk about the basketball team again. Tim Green. Kenny Evans, channel member, says, as former high school player for Logan. I wanted to play, not be bench warmer or water boy. I agree. Benny the Butcher, that WVU helmet badge looks nice beside your name there as a channel member. Appreciate you again, man. Linda Clement, no, I mean, Linda Skidmore, I think you must have hopped in late. Now, Murphy Clement signed with Illinois today as well. I shared that earlier in the stream. I think that's one thing that sweetened the pot for Hudson to go to Illinois is they brought in Murphy Clement as well, his brother. And I think they actually gave him a scholarship as he was a walk-on here at WVU. I think Illinois is giving him a scholarship, and I think he's going to play defensive back there. He was listed as a running back on the West Virginia roster. Hey, Benny the Butcher, I see you utilizing the emojis there in the chat. Nice, man. Yeah, if you are a channel member, you do get that as well. You get the WVU football helmet badges, and you get custom emojis to use in the chat there, some of which you'll see pop up in the chat there from the channel members. Let's see. Haas says Nico is going to be an even bigger stud. I think he's going to be a stud as well, Haas. James Lucas says another W stream, CRW. Hey, appreciate that, James. You're always leaving the W comments in the chat, man. Linda Skidmore says, I think Nico could be like Woody Dantzler, the quarterback at Clemson when Rich Rod was an OC. Hey, I'd be all for that. He put up some crazy numbers, and he was talented. Super talented stud quarterback there back in Rich Rod's early OC days. Kenny says we need wide receiver, DB, O-line, defensive line, safeties, and linebackers. Kenny, man, we need pretty much everything. Yeah, as Benny the Butcher said, pretty much the whole team. Yeah, I'm not going to pull up the roster again. I'm going to wait till the next roster update to do that with you guys, but I went over it previously on offense. 2 starters back, 3 if you want to count Rodney Gallagher, who started towards the end of the season. And then on defense, 3 starters back as well. So that's, a lot that we need to replace there, guys. Ton. But I think that's another positive about bringing in Rich Rod, and I think Ren Baker mentioned this a few times, is that he's had to deal with that a lot at the FCS level, and then being a Group of 5 level, is that the big name teams pick off his players, and he's had to rebuild teams through the transfer portal already. He just did it last year at Jackson State, and they won the conference title after bringing in 60 new transfer players, and he's going to have to at least probably bring in 30 or 40 or more here at WVU this year. Let's see. Eric Flowers says go live for the B-ball game. I think let's see what time is that? Is the B-ball game on Saturday? I might be at work. What time is this one? Yeah, it's a nooner. I'll be at work, unfortunately. That's usually the case for me a lot during B-ball season. A lot of the B-ball games I have to listen to on the radio, unfortunately. But I'm gonna try to hopefully maybe do a live stream during a B-ball game at some point this season. Haven't ever done one of those. It'd be a nice thing there. William Butcher said, I think I predicted Andre dominant performance over Hutchinson and a win and a WVN. You did, William Burleson. I remember that actually when we were previewing the Kansas game. You were right on the money with that. Andre out of nowhere was looking awesome. Benny the Butcher said the emojis are fire. Hey, appreciate that, Benny the Butcher. Hey, and there we go, guys. 5 more of you just got some gifted memberships courtesy of Benny the Butcher. That's awesome, guys. So, check yourself there in chat. You may have the badge. You may have some custom emojis there in the chat. And if you do, then that means you're currently got that trial membership there gifted to you courtesy of Benny the Butcher, which is super awesome. Can't thank you enough for that, Benny. So take advantage of it. Go through the channel. Look at some of the members-only videos, the film review videos, the snap counts, player grades, the game watch-alongs with my commentary, full WVU game watch-alongs. And you have access to that now as a channel member courtesy of Benny the Butcher. Appreciate that, Benny. WVU1 channel member, appreciate you as well. It should be near the video in the video description. Let me drop a link to be able to join as a member in case anybody else has that issue, because I know on certain devices sometimes for whatever reason the join button doesn't want to show up, but I do have a link that I can drop in the chat there that you can use to join if you need to. I think that you got one of the gifteds there, Trey, so that worked out nice for you. But just in case there's anybody else, we'll drop it in there in case anyone wants to join in the future. Or if you want to join, Trey, after your gifted runs out, you can use that link there if you need to. And there is also there's supposed to be a join button on the channel page here. I can probably just pull it up here and share my screen and show you guys. I would probably have to switch to another account here. Let's try this way. And I think, yeah, okay, so if you go to the channel and you go to the actual, you got the actual channel, view channel, and then go here, should be beside the subscribe button right here. And you click it, and then you can pick which tier here. You can go the Wild and Wonderful tier, or you can go the Almost Heaven tier. There are the two options, but it should be a join button there. In the videos, it's usually in the video description there, right above, near the channel name and near the subscribe button. But I also dropped a link there in chat as well. But appreciate you guys for asking questions about that and for becoming channel members, for gifting channel members. Awesome interaction this stream, guys. It's been a really fun one. Wanted to come on here and get that transfer portal update and that coaching staff update. And I suspect we'll be back tomorrow talking about both of those things yet again, or at least one of the two yet again tomorrow. And of course, we'll preview the basketball game as well. I see old Haas got that channel membership as well. That's awesome. Benny Butcher, really cool of you, man, to share that with everyone here in the chat. Getting to use some of the custom emojis there as well. Yeah, the join button doesn't show in iPads, Leslie Roberts said, and the join is weird on the phone. Some channels can join, some channels can't. Yeah, I've heard that. Sometimes the join button doesn't show up on certain devices, so I always try and drop the link if I can, if people ask about it. So appreciate you guys. Hey, Mountaineer athletes, I agree, man. The piss is boiling. We got that red hot piss because all of these visitors we got coming in over the next couple of weeks, starting today. We're spotting the ball. We're holding the rope. I got both the shirts to prove it. We're ready for this era of Mountaineer football. Can't wait to get it underway. And we're going to be covering everything in the lead up to the inception of the Rich Rod 2.0 era here at WVU. We're going to continue to build this roster. We got these transfer visitors coming in. Watch out for commitments over the next few days. And hopefully tomorrow we're going to get some more coaching staff news. Either way, we'll be back to preview the basketball game, if nothing else, but I suspect we'll be talking coaching staff news and maybe transfer portal news again as well. Fingers crossed we can get some commitments. But I appreciate all you guys. Showed a lot of love tonight in the chat. Love all you guys that come out here and tune into these things, whether you tune in live or if you watch on the playback. But if you would, just hit the thumbs up button. That's the fast, easy, and free way to support. And, of course, subscribe to the channel. You can get these videos directly into your feed and stay up to date on the transfer movement, the roster building, and the coaching staff as it builds as well. Appreciate you guys so much for coming in here to the January 2nd CRW live stream. Talk to you guys again tomorrow. That is the plan. As always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.